Righto, what's going on here?
Oh, sir, I'm arrested. Oh.
Warning. The build you're about to see is absolutely dominant. It may not be suitable for the faint of heart. Viewer discretion advised.
Although I'm going super fast, I'm not actually speedrunning. The build is so dominant, it gives the player confidence to play legendary strongholds like heroic control points. I'm not immortal, but I'm very hard to kill. Here's what the build provides. 6% armor regen on 1.1 million armor. 20% armor on kill, even when the kill is from my turret or drone. Bonus armor, plus 39% protection from elites. Offensively, we have 6 skill tiers with max skill damage on attributes for the turret and drone. This and a bonus weapon damage core and amplified weapon damage juice the exotic AR for run and gun killing power. This is the Hunter's Fury of skill builds, and it provides you with even more perks than that set has to offer. There are many ways to tweak this build. I think I tried them all, but I found this setup is in perfect harmony with damage output and survivability. I started by making the strongest skill damage build in the game for the turret and drone. But in my opinion, most of these build setups have a lot of wasted attributes. Skill haste, for example, is often used as a secondary attribute, but the way I see it, you don't need skill haste for drone builds. The cooldown is usually under 20 seconds and the duration is typically long enough for clears. But I also understand that agents like to max out skill haste because their primary weapon doesn't really pack any sort of punch, and they don't have the self-sustainability with armor regen or heals to endure any damage. So they spec the builds to overly rely on the drones. This build has an answer to all of that. Every single attribute slot is serving the build's purpose, which is to push on the enemy, kill fast, and end the engagement as quickly as possible. The regen, protection from elites, armor on kill, and amplified weapon damage allow us to pick up our turret and grab trophies out of cover. This is boosting everything we have when we do, including 30% skill efficiency per trophy, which is going to drive down our cooldowns. But if we get pinned down, not a problem. Hold your ground. You have the survivability and killing power to take whatever they can throw your way, even when both skills go down. This build is utilizing a few unique pieces. You might have to do a little farming to put this together, but I'm telling you right now, it will be worth your time. The Capacitor is a must-have for this build. One, it gives both our skills 60% more damage output on top of what the gear is giving us. Plus, each skill tier on the build gives the AR 7.5% weapon damage back. And this build is running 6 skill tiers and 1 weapon damage core for 60% total weapon damage. Since we will be playing forward, we need to be able to hold it down with the AR just as much as with the skills. To jump right into the backpack, I've decided to go with the exotic Memento backpack instead of the exotic waveform holster. I have a protection from elites mod on it. Many legendary skill builds that do use the Memento mostly take advantage of the long-term buffs, which give you 30% skill efficiency, 30% weapon damage, and 3% armor regen. We're going to take advantage of those perks too, but we're also going to take advantage of the short-term buffs as well. Because we can and will be able to get out of cover to retrieve those trophies as we kill, which is why the Memento is way better than the waveform for this build. The waveform only benefits your skill damage and teeters between both skills. But this is a forward playing run and gun skill build that relies on weapon damage just as much as skill damage and survivability attributes. So we're going to get our 20% armor on kill and another 20% bonus armor on kill on top of 6% armor regen, 3% of which is coming from Memento at full stacks. But even more, we're going to get 30% skill efficiency per trophy we grab for 5 seconds. On top of the 30% skill efficiency, the long-term buffs from the backpack are giving us. Majority of the time, there are multiple trophies laying around, and grabbing them is basically like putting your skills on overcharge pretty much all the time. Now you can give more power to your skills using 3 pieces of Empress and Waveform on top of the combined arms backpack talent, but that will unbalance everything and give you a totally different build, one that's pretty standard actually. And by the end of this video, you'll realize that this build is anything but standard. The mask is Wyvern for 10% skill damage. I like Wyvern because there's no waste. The first brand attribute is skill damage, and that is all we are after when it comes to the skills. No health, not haste, just damage. It has skill damage, armor regen, and a protection from elites mod. Your goal is to have skill damage as a secondary attribute on every single piece of your build. Explosive resistance is another great way to go instead of armor regen if you like. Faster recovery allows you to clear faster, so I stuck with regen instead. The chest talent is an important thing to consider. Kinetic momentum is a fine option and gives you 15% skill damage to both your skills. The glass cannon gives you 25% amplified damage to both your skills. And also, which by the way is very important, your weapon gets that amplified damage too. I think many are accustomed by now to wearing glass cannon on their skill damage builds. If you don't, you should seriously consider it, especially for this build. The chest piece is my first piece of Belstone, which gives us 1% armor regen, skill damage, more regen, and a protection from elites mod. The armor core brings us to 1.1 million total armor, which is an awesome place to be while having 6 skill tiers and 1 weapon damage core. Listen up closely. This build has multiple answers for the amplified incoming damage that comes with glass cannon. In fact, this build feels like it's all cannon without the glass. Think about it. You see, this talent with Memento is what allows us to get out of cover and run and gun and face tank when we need to. And it works really well with this build because the skills take so much aggro away from you. And since glass cannon is amplifying your skills damage too, they're getting a ton of kills and dropping trophies for you across the whole map. Not to mention giving you that 20% armor on kill and bonus armor. And even without the trophies, your build is giving you 6% armor regen and helping minimize some of the damage with 39% protection from elites on top of that. With this build, I'm taking a ton of damage all the time, but I'm completely comfortable in the heat of the battle because I know my survivability is very high with a fast time to kill and self-sufficient armor regeneration both passively and on kill. The holster is my second piece of Belstone, giving us 10% armor on kill. I put on a skill tier and it already had armor regen and skill damage on it. This shouldn't be too hard to find. Remember, explosive resistance, skill haste, and half throw are suitable options instead of armor regen. The named Murakami Emperor's Guard knee pads are key for this build. It gives our skills 20% more duration. I rolled skill damage on it and it gives us 1% armor regen, bringing our total regen to 6%. We're getting 1% armor regen from the knees, 1% from the chest, 3% from the long-term memento buffs, and the rest is coming from the armor regen secondary attributes throughout the build. These knee pads are going to come with the skill tier and max armor regen, so all you need to do is get these knee pads and roll on skill damage. Now if you don't have them yet, know it is a Dark Zone exclusive item. You can also get it by farming named item caches. I show you how to do that in this video here. Check it out. I'll drop links here and in the description area below. I can't wait to show you the gloves. They're definitely not what you'd expect. 2 question comments that usually come up on every build that needs to be addressed. First, how does it do in heroic? Well, if it makes legendary feel like heroic, I'd say it makes heroic feel like challenging mode, maybe even easier. More importantly, it's very fun at all difficulty levels. I appreciate that the weapon damage is in balance with the skill damage on this build. It makes you a triple threat, as I would describe it. But the passive regen is like having a third skill for healing that never goes on cooldown. All of this in heroic mode means you spend a lot of time out of cover, just a little bit more than playing legendary. The second thing that comes up often is difficulty scaling when playing in group. How does the build do? Well, legendary strongholds don't scale the group size, and since this build is designed to solo legendary, plan on leading in kills for your group, like you see here. In the end, it's also going to come down to your playstyle. The gloves are the named 511s called Death Grips. These are bringing another 10% armor on kill to the table, for a total of 20% armor on kill. I rolled a skill tier and skill damage. If you don't have these yet, know they are Dark Zone exclusives. But just like the knee pads, you can get them from the named item caches too. You want to find a pair with skill damage already on it so you can roll on the skill tier. If that proves difficult, you can try finding the right Belstone chest piece and put the skill tier there and keep the armor core in the gloves. Or run armor on your chest, gloves, and the Memento backpack and be down the skill tier until you find a suitable chest piece. It's important you have the technician specialization equipped for an extra skill tier and have the 10% skill damage modifier in the skill tree set to on. This specialization also helps you take out enemy tech, which is constant in legendary. If you're feeling frisky, you can also add a skill tier to the build drop your armor to 900,000 and run gunner specialization for an additional 10% armor on kill, making it a total of 30% armor on kill. But I found 1.1 million armor was important for the armor regen, bonus armor, and armor on kill to be more effective. So with this build, I'm mostly using the drone and turret, and these are the base damage numbers for each, which are lower on paper than in the field. Once we have the stacks from the Capacitor, the backpack trophies, and Glass Canyon, these numbers go up quite a bit. Not much to look at for weapon damage stats. As you can see, I spec nothing into crits. I just think that you lose too many attribute slots trying to give this particular weapon crits. I found it best to keep it balanced with the skill damage output, using the weapon talents booster from skill tiers, the trophies from Memento, and Glass Cannon. Lots of good stuff defensively. Note there is bonus armor coming in per trophy, and basically double the armor regen at full Memento stacks, which is 30. And that happens fast with the skills. We also have the 39% protection from elites. That's great to have because it also protects you from elite explosives and stinger hives. Great against the chungas. 39% is just enough to give you an edge. This video highlights 2 insanely effective builds for taking down legendary strongholds in new and exciting ways. I recommend you watch it next. Tuxedo out.
On everything. Follow me.